Thanks for checking in. Coach White. Hope you guys had a phenomenal week on purpose. And excited for another class. So we're going to start off with some announcements uh, before we get into this. So, like to always begin by talking about the gallery that tells your story. That is the YouTube channel. So I want you guys to, when you have the opportunity, go check it out. Fish around a little bit, take your shoes off, check out the content. And if you like it, like it. And if you want to support, go ahead and subscribe to the gallery that tells your story on YouTube. I think we got some pretty good content over there. I have to upload some of the more recent episodes, but just to give you a little glimpse, um, we have some episodes on there. We tell the story. In some instances, we tell your story. But we tell the stories of our community about how sin destroys our relationships with ourselves, destroys our relationships with others and our family. So we pick apart some relationship issues, if you will, and we get out the good book. And we talk about, you know, things from the garden, what happened in the garden and how it still relates to what goes on today as sin continues to damage and destroy our relationship dynamics. So we have some pretty good, pretty cool episodes on there for you guys to check out. One we get together, we call it the lounge. You may see myself. Shout out to Dax. Shout out to my wife, Jazz and 50, who have joined us in the lounge to have some real meaningful conversation. We have some content on there from some authors who wrote some really dope books. We have a couple of poetry pieces from yours truly and Jazz as well. Um, and then we have some conversations, man. Sometimes we got to get on the chalkboard and we gotta compare and contrast what's going on in our daily lives with some of the scriptural verses. So we're doing all of that, but you won't know unless you check it out. So go ahead and check it out when you get a chance. Also, if you want to be a part of the shows, I'm encouraging you guys to send in some videos. Make sure your screens are clear, your presentation is solid. We'd love to have you on the show. If you are experiencing anything and you need coaching, if your family is experiencing anything that you want to talk through, you send a video and be a part of it. How's that sound? Also, we are authors as well. So if you can follow me on TikTok and Facebook, I try to post regularly. Um, Aiden's Journey is something that we're promoting. It's a Christian fiction, uh, two Christian fiction novels, and one of them will help you to understand the other a little better. And we also have another project coming out real soon. But Aiden's Journey is available on Amazon and Kindle. One book title is called Forsaking All Others. Really dope project. I had the opportunity to do with my wife. And the other is The Invisible Marriage. Yes, the invisible marriage. It's about how you can be in the marriage and not be in the marriage at the same time. It's really dope. Check that out. Also, I Do, I Did, and It Didn't is also available on Amazon and Kindle. Had a chance to collaborate with some really dope authors. Shout out to Rock, Taisha, Anastasia. Another Christian fiction novel about marriage and relationships and things of that nature. I do implies, I said I do. I did implies I did get married. And it didn't implies that it didn't work out. So check that out when you get a chance. And also, 50 Shades of She, my wife's really dope poetic novel on her experiences with domestic violence. You can check that out on Amazon as well. Tonight, every night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, coach classes with Coach. Um, this is for those who are current clients, those that want to eventually become clients, those that are coaches, or those that are inspired to become coaches. We on every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time again. And if you have any questions, you can shoot me a text at 443-762-6010, or you give me a call at 443-785-7010. All right. Also, we have merchandise. Self love over self destruction is available for purchase. We are definitely promoting self love over self destruction. We've been destroying ourselves for too long. And we also have some dope The Gallery That Tells Your Story t-shirts available with some really inspiring messages on the back. So yeah, grab a t-shirt, like and subscribe to the channel. Become a part of the coach classes. Classes are $10 a class. For a limited time, $10 a class. So, check it out. All right. So, I will share my screen briefly. Check it for a moment. Share. All right. So, today's focus, this unit rather, is, I said 6 weeks, but it's actually more than 6 weeks. It's going to be, this is what, week 4? Yeah, 1, 2. So the first week, so the unit is about developing positive self-talk. All right. Week 1, we discussed the power of positive self-talk. Week 2 was about creating positive self-talk. Week 3 was about positive self-talk for personal growth, right? And this week we're talking about how to challenge your negative self-talk. All right. So I'm hoping that I can play a video for you guys, but sometimes I experience technical difficulties, and if that's the case, we're going right to the chalkboard. No problem at all. All right. How to challenge your negative self-talk. So we're going to start off with a quote of the day. And the quote is, recognizing your negative self-talk. Stop yourself from becoming your own worst enemy. I'm going to repeat that. Recognizing your negative self-talk. Stop yourself, yes, it is your responsibility, from becoming your own worst enemy. All right. So, I got my brother on, my brother from the same mother. What's going on, champ? How you feeling?
What's up, bro? I can't see the screen.
Yeah, I'm actually, and I'm glad you said that too, because I need to record. I'm streaming live on TikTok. Do you have two separate devices?
Nah, you good.
Okay.
Yeah, you good. Yeah, I'm cool, bro. Yeah, you know what I mean? Tired, but grateful as always.
Yes, sir.
Recording in progress.
Awesome. We'll go ahead and record. Yeah, so I'm pausing because I'm thinking. You will be able to see my whiteboard. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the whiteboard right now and I'm going to put it on the whiteboard for you. Quote of the day. We can't talk about self-talk enough. Recognizing your negative self-talk. It says stop yourself from becoming your own worst enemy. I'm gonna put that on the board, but talk to me, Jamal. How do how does this quote resonate with you based off of your experience? Recognizing, it's the action word, your negative self-talk. Stop yourself from becoming your own worst enemy. How does that quote resonate with you?
Yeah, it's recognizing when you're talking down to yourself and you're changing it.
Okay.
As soon as you realize that you're wrong, change it, reinforce it with some positive self-talk.
Okay. That sounds pretty straightforward, and
Yeah.
straightforward it is, right? But what makes it hard? Think about some times where you were really in a psychological battle with somebody. Think about a relationship dynamic or something. And in that moment, you were in your emotions, right? And you wasn't as sharp with recognizing your negative self-talk. Talk to me about that. What can you describe any relationship dynamic that comes to mind for you where it was hard for you to recognize your negative self-talk?
Uh, um, yeah. Right, yeah, I'm about to say like so it can be like you said, it can be a environment, situation you're in. That can all play the fact that you play in it. Um, how you feel about yourself. Like sometimes you can be in a situation or something you don't like the situation, so of course you can talk down, talk bad to yourself. But I think that sometimes you gotta realize the good with it. I think it's good in everything. Everything is a teacher. So I look at it. Or was that meant to teach you something? But I had moments in the past.
Yeah,
I had moments in the past.
we all have, brother.
Yeah. And you like in a situation, you like, dang, you can't recognize it until you take a step out for a second, take a step out, breathe, and you can really evaluate and be like, okay,
Yeah,
make the right steps. You know?
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's pick this apart, man. Let's look at this in phases. Um, can you see my whiteboard?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. All right, let's look at this in phases. The first phase is to recognize our negative self-talk. So this implies that it happened, and when it happened, we didn't acknowledge it. And we didn't acknowledge our negative self-talk probably because, all right, let's paint this picture. All right, let's paint the picture like this. What often tends to happen, and let's look at a drastic scenario. Let's say you're in a heated argument with somebody. And let's say somebody says, I'm trying to think of something common without overthinking. You know, I often say, and I'm sure you would agree with this, I think our relationship dynamics, particularly with significant others, expose our weaknesses, right? And it allows us, when we reflect, it allows us to recognize and or to acknowledge our own weaknesses as it pertains to relationship dynamics. It exposes everything in that regard. So let's say that um, our significant other said that uh, I got one. Let's say what our significant other said. I'm gonna put this on the board. That we're hypocrites. Or hypocrite. As the saying goes, um, you don't uh, live according to what you preach, or you say, or you teach that we should do one, that people should do one thing, but you do total opposite of what the people do, or what you say the people should do. So let's say you hear that over and over and over and over again, and I'm gonna put right here hypocritical. Um, or I'll just put it. I'll put it like in quote. You are a hypocrite. All right. You are a hypocrite. Coming from, and I'll put your significant other. Says, all right. So let me slide this over a little bit. So phase one, here we go. We're trying to paint this picture here. Phase one, your significant other says to you, you are a hypocrite. And then they go on to expound on why she believes that you're a hypocrite. What happens next? Typically, we internalize what we heard. So let's put phase two. We internalize what we heard. Look at this in phases. All right. So check this out. And remember, real soul food is not chicken and watermelon, and mashed potatoes and gravy and
I just said that the other
greens.
day, bro.
Say it again.
I just said that to somebody the other day. I said this soul food is not actually soul food because that food is not for the soul by no means. I just said that, bro. I just said it probably like 2 days ago to this person.
Listen, man, you know we won, brother. We connected.
I'm like soul food. People got a wrong idea of a soul food. I'm like, that food is not for your soul by no means.
Yeah.
Food.
So the real soul food. So let's talk about soul for a minute. The soul of man is the part of us that you cannot see. It is the invisible part of the visible person. All right. It is the inwardmost part of who we are that affects what people see. It is the soul that causes these arms to move, this mouth to speak, right? But what's driving the soul is what we put in it. And what we put in it is who and what we see, who and what we watch, who and what we listen to, what we read, and so on and so on and so forth. So picture this. We have been in the scenario, as I paint this picture, we have been fed food for our souls. The food that we have been fed from our significant others goes something like this. You are a hypocrite. And when she said that we were hypocrites, there was a certain nonverbal facial expression that aligned with the emotions behind the statement. So we were not only hearing, we were also seeing something from our significant other in that moment. We got a snapshot, a clear snapshot of the emotions behind the words that was garnered by the thoughts that she has based off of something we did or didn't do, said or didn't say, right? Again, our significant others say you are a hypocrite. So the next phase is we internalize what we heard. Now, here comes the kicker. As we internalize what we heard, we go through phases. In one of those particular phases, we examine whether what we heard is true or rather what we heard is not true. Here's the thing. If it's true, TikTok, then it will align with our actions moving forward. Or it has already aligned with our actions moving forward. So, in this sense, your significant other says, and if you're not in a relationship, your family member says you're a hypocrite. Let's take into account that we have a close relationship dynamic with these individuals. Let's take into account that they may see something in us that we don't see in ourselves. Hence, that makes us internalize something that we heard, such as you are a hypocrite, and start to believe what we heard. Here's where self-talk comes in. When we start to say, Jamal, we reflect and we say, you know what? That was hypocritical. That was something that I told somebody to do that I in turn didn't do myself. And then here comes the identity. I am a hypocrite. And remember last week, what we discussed is being very careful about how we affirm who we are. So when you attach I am to something, you are identifying with whatever that is. So upon hearing phase one, you are a hypocrite, I internalize what I heard. I do some kind of reflection and evaluation and self-examination. And if I believe it's true, I affirm that I am a hypocrite. So now my affirmation and self-talk aligns with what I heard from my significant other, family member, or whatever have you. Are you following me so far?
Yeah, I get it.
Okay. So now, I'm gonna write this on the chart on this good whiteboard. When we internalize it, we ask the question: is it true? Or false? This is a big little question. Because if we believe that it's true, and here's what I want people to hold on to as they tune in. If when your significant other, your family member, or whomever, and you can plug in a statement however you want to plug it in, or whatever you want to plug into the statement. When they say you are a hypocrite, they are attaching an identity to your very being. Now, there's a difference in saying that you are a hypocrite versus saying you are acting hypocritical. You see the difference? One is connected to an identity. The other is connected to a behavior and an action. And we have to be very careful about how we allow other people to affirm who we are. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So now we internalize it. And this is where in coaching, we have to make sure that when we coach our clients up, we coach them in a way that they can discern the difference between identity and actions. And just because you act a certain way doesn't mean that that's who you are in identity. It just means that that's how you behave. And how you behave is connected to how you've been feeding your soul over time. All right. So when somebody comes and make these statements, sometimes they are reinforcing something that we've heard way back, deep rooted in our childhood. But that's kind of another door that we can open that we're going to open tonight. So you hear something that is connected to your identity, you internalize it, and then you have to determine whether what you heard is true or false. Is it true that this is who I am, or is it false? Is it true that this is how I'm behaving, or if it's false? If it's a behavior, then I can correct that behavior. I can repent, and I can get right, and I can confess to my significant other that, hey, I didn't behave appropriately. I did behave like a hypocrite, but I'm going to make it right. But if it's connected to my identity, that's not who I am. And because that's not who I am and I know who I am, I cannot say that I'm a hypocrite because I'm Coach White. You are Jamal White. My wife is Nikisha White. Those names are connected to our identity. Hypocrite may be only connected to the way we behave in the moment. So we need to, when the quote says recognizing your negative self-talk, we have to recognize even the situations that we encounter that causes us to damage the way we speak to ourselves. So the next part of the quote says, stop yourself, this is something that we have to do, from becoming your own worst enemy. And I often say this, that sometimes we hear people say things about somebody we love, and we get really bothered by that. But the reality is, we don't get bothered when we say those same things to ourselves when we look in the mirror. Or we don't get bothered by those same words and phrases when we have those type of inner dialogues with ourselves. That's crazy. It's crazy that we can hear something and we say, you know what, that's real offensive. Why that brother had to talk to that sister like that? Or why that person had to say that to that other person? But we sometimes say the same things to ourselves. And we don't get as bothered by that. It's just mind-blowing to me to consider. All right? So that's the quote of the day. I wanted to pick it apart. Recognizing our negative self-talk, and we kind of got into a scenario where you hear something that people want to associate with your identity, that we internalize what we heard, right? And we have to ask the question, is it true or false? Is it true? Is it connected to my identity? Is it who I am? Or is it false? Is it true versus is it true that this is how I'm behaving? Or is it false? If it's true, then I can repent. I can confess and repent and make it right with whoever I offended. And when we get in a space where we're not emotional, we can go to that individual and say, you know what? I'm not a hypocrite, but I was acting hypocritical. So that the person knows that, hey, this is a soft rebuke. I'm accepting the fact that my behavior was hypocritical, but I'm not accepting the fact that being a hypocrite is associated with my identity. And we have to make sure that our clients can make that distinction when they hear something. If not, your negative self-talk is going to take over. And if you hear it from more than one person that you are a hypocrite, then you'll start to believe that you are a hypocrite, and you'll attach that statement with your identity and not with your behavior. And that's why we got to be really, really careful about this kind of exercise. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing my whiteboard for a minute. I'm going to try to play this video. I'm going to see if it works. And if you can't hear it, just let me know. And we're going to go with plan B. All right, so let me get back to my screen here. Okay. I should have put the quote on the screen. I'm sorry. Apologize for my presentation. I didn't recognize the quote wasn't on the screen. You guys were looking at the units. So this is the quote that I should have had on the screen. Now, I'm going to go here. This is a really, really good video by Dr. Josh Green. And the title is How to Challenge Your Negative Self-Talk. All right, now, if I play it, TikTok will hear it, even though you guys won't see it. You guys on Zoom won't see it necessarily, but I'm wondering if you could hear it at least. So, yeah, because I'm thinking now that I'm streaming, you won't physically see it on the screen because I can only have one video going at a time. But let's see if you can hear it. All right, so here we go. Let me try this out. This would be a commercial at first. All right, so I'm going to play like 10 seconds of it, and then I'm going to stop it and let me know if you heard it, all right? All right, here we go. I'll pause it right there. Could you hear that at all? Yes, no, maybe so.
I can hear it.
You could not hear it? Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why this happened. I wanted to spend some time before the segment, but this is what I'll do. I'm going to send this video to your phone so that the next time we jump on, we can pick it apart. All right? But for the sake of being productive, I'm not going to play this, but we're going to go back to the chalkboard to plan B. All right? So Let me pull up the chalkboard again. Whiteboard system. All right.
Oh, hold up.
Everything good?
I can get on TikTok while I'm on Zoom.
Okay, cool. All right. At least you'll. I still won't allow you to see the screen. You'll have to work that one out. But you'll at least see me. You'll have some FaceTime with me. Not unless you want to. I'm streaming on. I couldn't. So I'm actually. Pause for a second. I'm actually streaming on Facebook, IG, and the gallery that tells your story on YouTube, right? But I'm live on TikTok right now. So if you want to see the live stream, you have to go somewhere. You have to go to either Facebook, IG, or YouTube. But if you want to catch me on TikTok, then you can do that as well. But you won't necessarily see the presentation. What Zoom allows you to do is to see the whiteboard. So I got some moving parts, and over time, I'm hoping to bring it all together. If that makes sense. So, all right. So here we go. Let's look at this in phases. This happens all the time. All right. Let me expand this a little bit. All right. You can still see my whiteboard, right? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. So the question is, and I'm going to put it here. How do we stop our negative self-talk? Let's come up with a strategy. That's the question. That is the $1 million question. And I'm talking about situations where people are heated. You are in a heated argument in the moment. And your emotions is running high. And we're hearing, with Feeding Our Souls, we're hearing a lot of negative things associated, knowingly or unknowingly, that the person is trying to associate with our identity and not with our behavior. How do we stop the negative self-talk in that moment? Let's think it through. And we've already got the ball rolling, right? In the first portion of this exercise. So what do you think? We already discovered that we internalize what we hear. We ask the question, is it true or false? Meaning, and let me put this part on there. And we'll add another piece to it. Is it true or false? Meaning, is it a part of our identity? Or is it a part of our behavior? That's the question. We have to decipher that. Line up that. All right, I'm going to scroll down a little bit on the board. Let me use a little more space here. Let me bring this down. How do we stop our negative self-talk? We internalize what we hear first. So we process it and we ask ourselves, is it true? True or false? Is it true or false what we heard? A, is it a part of our identity, who we are, or is it a part of our behavior? So here's the question. How long, and I'm asking you, when you think about being in a heated argument, after the argument is where the work starts for us. I know for you and I, because we come from the same womb as brothers, we probably spend, and I'll speak for myself, and you tell me if I'm reading you wrong, there's a less amount of time in the actual argument. There's more time devoted after the argument, internalizing what we heard, reflecting on what we heard, and doing a lot of self-examination. And this could take hours after the argument, days after the argument, or even weeks after the argument, where we're still internalizing. Is that accurate for you?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely is that after that I take my, I process it. Let's say this time in my life, I kind of process. I always look at it. I haven't been in a heated argument in a minute. I always I just see what it is, whatever it is, and that what I can learn from it.
Okay.
How I am now, I just see what I can learn from it. After I process it, like, all right, cool. Like somebody say, yeah, like I use the example, like you said, somebody say, you're a hypocrite. If somebody says something like that to me, I take it in like, all right, see how, you know what I'm saying? Like how, because it don't bother me. You know what I'm saying? At this point, it just gets to bother me. So it's like, all right, cool. Maybe I can. Like I want to see, all right, boom, then I'm gonna take it in. If I was wrong, if I was rude in this situation, I apologize for kind of for that. Yeah. Then I'm gonna analyze it and take it in so I can learn and grow from it, so it won't happen again. And it can make me better.
Gotcha. And praise God for your growth, man. I praise God for your growth. But the but is, you and I are going to be dealing with clients who aren't as mature in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we all, to some degree, have to realize, TikTok, that we internalize the argument much longer than the actual argument itself. It's not like we argue, we internalize during the argument, and after the argument is over, we stop. The argument could still be going on, internalizing, in our mind for hours, days, weeks, sometimes months, sometimes years. So I'm saying this to say this is where the real work happens. This is where the real work has to happen. So that as we are internalizing it, what we heard, we are winning the war and not losing. So if we just use an example of somebody saying that we're a hypocrite, we have to constantly tell ourselves, A, I am not a hypocrite, although I behave like a hypocrite. Two separate things. We have to make sure, again, our clients can decipher the difference. B, when we're able to decipher the difference, then we can start to do the work to change the behavior. So our self-talk has to reflect changed behavior, right? Here it goes. Yeah, I was acting like a hypocrite in the moment, and she had a right, or they had a right to say that about me. But that's not who I am. And I'm going to make strides and put in the work to ensure that nobody ever has to say that I'm a hypocrite again. You see how I'm coaching myself? You see how I'm changing the inner dialogue? I'm owning my part, but I'm also speaking life to myself as well and my self-talk. I'm assuring myself that that's not who I am, even though I acted that way in that moment, and may have, look, even acted that way sometime in my past. But it's not who I am. But what I will do is make some strides and some changes so that I'm not that way anymore. That's not who I am. That's how I'll behave. But I'm going to behave differently moving forward so that I don't offend my neighbor, my wife, my significant other, my family member, or whatever have you. That is the kind of self-talk we have to use as we internalize much longer than the argument so that we don't lose that battle in our mind. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And we have to make sure that our clients grasp the meaning behind everything that we're saying here. You know, and I used the example a couple of weeks ago where a client of mine is saying, I am depressed. And I'm like, well, you know, can you show me your photo ID, your state ID? And they show me their IDs and they say, I don't see that on your ID. And I do that intentionally because that's not who they are. You know what I mean? So we have to make sure our clients can decipher the difference so that their negative self-talk doesn't continue and that they pick up with being more positive and more loving. And that's what we're trying to get them to. Trying to get them to that point. So, were you going to say anything?
No, I was like, when you say internalize, I was thinking about internalize and internalize.
Nice. I like that play on words. Yeah, absolutely. Love it. Shoot, man, you mess around and make a shirt out of that, bro. Yeah, I like that. Yeah. So, in short, before we close out, some action steps. You stop negative self-talk by asking yourself the question, is it true about who you are or false? And is it true about how you behave or false? And we're looking to own something because we're in the business of building relationships. So we want to own what we need to own about our behavior. But we want to send a gentle rebuke about the things that are not associated with our identity and decipher the difference. So we stop negative self-talk as we internalize by asking the question, is it true? And if it is true about our behavior, we own it. And we do the work to make the changes in our behavior. And we tell ourselves that we can do the work and that we will do the work so that we can strengthen that relationship dynamic with whomever we offended in the moment. And that's how we begin to do the work to stop our negative self-talk. The opposite of negative is positive. And that's the simple part of it. But we have to love ourselves enough in this internal dialogue that we're having not to be so negative over the course of time. We have to change it. And it's up to us to do it. It is our work, and we have to love ourselves enough to do the work. And we have to stop the negative self-talk. You can't let it go on. And remember, your self-talk is the superhero for your thoughts and your feelings. And you got to save yourself. And if we don't, we're going to continue with this negative self-talk pattern. So I apologize that I couldn't show the video. And if you guys are watching on the stream, I'm sorry that um, I didn't change the presentation when I should have. I wanted you guys to see the quote. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen for a moment, my whiteboard. Any questions, comments, concerns, or thoughts about anything we covered today? Good.
Another good session.
Thank you, brother. Praise be to God, man. And thank you for, man. I really appreciate you continuing to show up because, you know, again, I teach off of the three pillars: self-talk, intrapersonal skill development, and interpersonal relationship skill development. And we in the business of empowering people, man, and teaching people how to solve problems. And I think that we're gonna continue to sharpen ourselves because iron sharpens iron. And yeah, man, so we can be better, not just for ourselves, but for our families, our friends, those that we surround ourselves by in our communities, and most importantly, the clients, man. The clients. I had a client tell me one time, man, we should have been learning this stuff in elementary, middle, and high school. You know, and yeah, we should have, but we could change that. So with that being said, before we go today, um, I am opening up a class, a virtual class for uh, 8th through 12th graders. So TikTok, 8th to 12th graders, if um, you want them to be a part of learning how to become a coach, I think it's going to be really crucial. The earlier, the better that we feed our youth and young adults. I think the more effective they will be in the long run and for their families as well. So I'm actually looking for 8th through 12th graders. I want to open up the virtual classes for them, and we want to train them to be coaches as well so that they can be awesome and they can learn these three pillars and be effective as well. So all 8th through 12th graders, we are opening up the virtual classes for you guys. Uh, we want to inspire you and encourage you to become coaches for your family, for your communities. We would love to empower you. So if you guys are interested in getting more information, call me at 443-785-7010. That's 443-785-7010. Or you can text 443-762-6010. All right. So I'll stop sharing at this time. Man, I had fun. Another good segment in the books. Left off next week as we continue on this topic of self-talk. Like always, man, I appreciate you. Thank you for the support. And it's a matter of time, man. You're going to be coaching. So be encouraged and just hang on for a minute so we can close out together as brothers. Let me go ahead and stop the stream at this time. Thank you for everybody who checked in. TikTok, salute, salute. See you guys next week.